tomorrow night we have Farage at Large, and we're going to be in Bury, just south of Manchester. And we have moved venues. We've got a bigger venue. We did the same last week when we were in South Wales, in Newport. And so, accordingly, we do now have 20 spare tickets. If you want to come along for a live show tomorrow, Farage at Large, gbnews.com is where to go to get the tickets. You better get in pretty blooming quickly. Now, Anthony Stansfeld is former Thames Valley Police and Crime Commissioner. He served from 2013 to 2021. I think at one point, Anthony, you had one of the biggest Conservative majorities in the whole
I think I did.
of the country. Now, in Reading, which was in your patch, there was, with HBOS, quite a serious banking scandal that affected, once again, with this theme is consistent, affected small businesses. What happened?
Basically, HBOS Reading was systemically taking down small companies and medium-sized companies and pillaging them. And they probably made off, we don't know the figure, but it was probably about 850 million. We prosecuted on 245 million. It took us 3 years. 2 other police forces had turned the case down, as had the SFO, if we hadn't prosecuted it. And I give great credit to the Chief Constable, Sarah Thornton, for taking it on. And they were all found guilty. Throughout the case, we did not have the full cooperation of Lloyds Bank, who owned HBOS. They denied a fraud had taken place, and it wasn't until the jury returned its verdict that they put their hands up and admitted it. And they knew perfectly well, and I had the internal emails that showed they knew perfectly well. But what was going on in HBOS Reading was going on systemically out of other banking centres, notably, I believe, Bristol, Gresham Street in London, and also RBS in
And so this is the closing down of small accounts and taking cash.
Well, if I can sort of give a very broad, because they're all slightly different, but if a company is worth 100 million and it's got assets and proprietary rights and everything, and it wants to expand and it borrowed £10 million, they would wait until the money was committed and then call the loan in, and then demolish the company, go for the director's personal guarantees, and divvy up the assets, and they made fortune. The Global Reconstruction Group of RBS in Scotland was not meant to be a cost centre that made money. It made hundreds of millions, if not into the billions, and exactly the same was going on in Lloyds with their BSU, their business support unit. Again, it was deliberately taking down companies to make money, and that went on quite systemically.
So systemically. You believe this has been going on for some time?
It's been going on for quite a time, yes.
Why on earth, Anthony, and it's terrific that you did push that case and work on that case in Reading and get some justice there. Why so few people in Parliament spoken out about this?
I don't know. I took it to the Prime Minister. Actually, I took that to Theresa May. I took it to Cameron. Every time I actually went out to the head of the Cabinet Secretary, Theresa May, passed it on to, and he wrote to me and said, "These very serious allegations, I'll look into them." And I wrote him in a certain amount of details, and he wrote back to me and said, "I've taken advice on this, and I've been advised not to talk to you." I mean, absolutely unbelievable.
How helpful.
I had the letter.
How helpful. Well,
so it was covered up.
Well, you've been an absolute terrier on this one, Anthony. And regarding the case in Reading, a spokesman for Lloyds said that the group will continue to provide every assistance the review requires in order that it can conclude its investigation. And around Bristol, the Lloyds banking group strongly denies any wrongdoing. Anthony, thank you for joining me on the programme. I'm sitting next to Jacob Rees-Mogg. Jacob, good evening. She did go in the end. Huppas won this morning.
She had to. It was quite clear when we were talking last night that she had broken the cardinal rule of banking. I think you had Kwasi Kwarteng on earlier who said that other than embezzlement, there was nothing more wrong that she could have done.
No, absolutely.
And when the statement came out of her admitting to being the source, it was obvious she had to
and yet the board backed her.
Weird, without getting the support of the major shareholder. So you then have Downing Street.
Us?
Yes, the British people. And Downing Street then said, "Well, we don't think this is such a good idea." And the board suddenly...
Oh dear. Lots more of Jacob coming up on State of the Nation in a moment. But first, well, it's the first day of the Test tomorrow. It's